What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I was going to do this video last night, but I wanted to kind of percolate a little bit on it and try and come at it from a larger perspective or a better perspective than an emotional reaction. Last night, we lost a member of the independent news media, and, he worked for InfoWars. You may or may not have seen his work. His name is Jamie White. And there are a lot of interesting potential coincidences that led to his loss of life outside of his home last or 2 nights ago. And the details right now are sparse. We know it was outside of his home. We know that it was, between 10 and 12 or so at night. I want to get into the new details, but I do want to honor Jamie White's work. And, he was somebody that, I know that we had interactions on X, but he's still a member of kind of the same community we all are. Whether you consume the content or you create the content, we're all brothers and sisters in this kind of fight against fake news media and, big conglomerates. InfoWars reporter was many people believe there was a hit on him outside of his home by an unknown assailant, according to his sister. Jamie White was found mortally wounded outside of his Austin residence around midnight on Sunday. So I don't know if that means it was Saturday night on midnight or Sunday midnight going into Monday. I'm not totally sure. My brother, someone was attempting to break into his car. White's sister, Kelly Neal, said although the investigation is in its early stages, it does not appear to be a targeted attack. Now, we don't know. He was on a Ukrainian hit list. We know this due to his reporting, on the conflict over there. I'm not implicating Ukraine. I'm just saying he was. There were a lot of people on that same list. We're not doing great. Obviously, my my thoughts go out to his family. Neil explained that her brother had recently become an uncle to her baby daughter, and she broke down in tears while paying tribute to him. It was really great to watch him take on that role and be so loving and supporting, she added. Our mother passed away 9 years ago, and I think he knew it was really hard for me not to have her to be a grandmother. So he made sure my daughter was loved and made sure I was supported. He was really great. I think that, it's important to remember this dude was a good guy, Officers from Austin PD responded to 911 calls reporting a man with obvious signs of trauma. White was rushed to a nearby hospital where he passed away. Police have called the incident a homicide, but have not identified a single suspect. The slaying had been investigated as a stabbing or whatever, but authorities have not released any additional information. In a fiery, emotional video Monday afternoon, Alex Jones did not hold back in assigning blame, squarely targeting the district attorney, Jose Garza. I lay all this squarely at the feet of Soros and the sort of crime syndicate in the Democratic Party. They are the ones that administratively cut police, prosecuted police, and even cases that are 100% clear to be lawful legal activities, Jones ranted. You cost the life of Jamie White. You opened the door. You created the climate. You created conditions on purpose. George Soros, Alexander Soros, you took his life. I don't disagree with Alex on this. We live in a world of complete lawlessness now in many cities due to Democrat policies to defund police, to make police afraid to do their job, but also, more importantly, to embolden criminals. I did an interview last night, which comes out today, about I interviewed the content creator who had 3 armed men broke into her home to steal her crypto, but were too stupid to know that all of her crypto was in cold storage and that she couldn't even access it anyway. These criminals have been emboldened by a lack of any real consequences for their crimes. Catch and release programs, essentially saying, well, the law-abiding citizens can just deal with yet another criminal because we don't have room in our prisons. The idea that we don't have rooms in our prison as a good reason to not enforce our nation's laws is a Democrat talking point.
The InfoWars family of viewers and listeners into the world with some really horrible news. There are a lot of really cool people that have worked at InfoWars over the years, and one of the most amazing people was Jamie White. You know him as a great reporter and researcher. He was up here last night working late during the Sunday show and after it. And we even have his last post on X where he responded to Elon Musk. Jamie was murdered last night outside of his home, just a few miles away from our studios. And we are the folks here breaking that news first because his family has been notified, and his good personal friends here that were very close to Jamie have talked to his folks and family. We sent some people over this morning when he didn't answer the phone because he's always here early, loves to work, loves to fight tyranny, loves to promote freedom. And when they got to the apartment complex, there was yellow tape everywhere and blood all over the parking lot. And we went and talked to the manager. They didn't know anything. Just like everybody else we see in the left, they just very laissez-faire.
This will probably go unsolved, unless the InfoWars team directly has, their own investigation, because, this is just, as far as we know, some criminal breaking into his car, got confronted, and thought, it was worth taking someone else's life over some change in the center console.
But our crew member saw a police officer and went and talked to them, and they made a phone call, and she had the details when she talked to him and knew Jamie. The police officer said yes, he died at the hospital very soon after they got him there. The police responded within 2 minutes, and they had him at the hospital where he was pronounced dead within 18 minutes. Just want to say the police did a great job in the response time, despite, I'm going to talk about in a moment who I hold responsible for this, and who is responsible for this, and who are accomplices to Jamie and so many others' murder, and so many others that have been raped and mugged. Heard me on air talk about how the crime is very, very bad here in Austin. Any leftist city is, and just exploded the last 4 years. But let me just tell you what happened to Jamie. What we know so far, his last post on X was 16 hours ago. There's Jamie's X account. I've sworn upon the altar of God, eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. Original gangster, Thomas Jefferson. And, I'll just say it. Jamie was our best writer and reporter. They're all great, but they all said he was the best. There's others that are almost as good, but not as good as Jamie. And he wrote 6-7 articles yesterday, posted all this news, did all this great research, gave us information for the show, assisted us in what we were doing. And I came in this morning, the crew looked really upset, and they said Jamie didn't come in. And so we sent one of the crew down there, and didn't look good. And then they didn't even want to tell me yet that the cops had said, no, it was Jamie White. We were the first to learn. We waited until the afternoon until the family's been told. You saw a little clip from the newscast about this in the early morning hours, and it's just Austin Police Department officers responded to a high-priority emergency call at approximately 11:57 p.m. Sunday night. The call was shoot, stab, hot shot, which refers to a high-priority potential life-threatening call involving possibility of an active shooter or stabbings. Officers arrived about 2 minutes later and found a male victim, obvious signs of trauma, according to APD Public Information Officer Leah Ratliff. Officers attempted life-saving measures before the victim was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead at approximately 12:19 a.m. Monday morning. Homicide detectives are actively investigating the incident, which marks Austin's 8th homicide of the year. Authorities have not released information about potential suspects or specific nature of the victim's injuries. This is pretty early on in the investigation, and the homicide unit will be releasing more information.
They're probably not going to find him.
And as they're able, Ratliff said during a media briefing. Well, we've talked to the police off record. We know more. I'm going to reveal that right now. Multiple police officers we've talked to, detectives, said off record that we said, we're really sick of this, we're tired of this, and they said we are too. We have had in the last few years our funding for crime scene people and responders cut back massively. They made the biggest cuts in areas that deal with violent crime, as we know from the news, but this was them telling us, and that they will bust really hardened people with huge rap sheets committing serious crimes, robberies, armed robberies, and that the Austin DA, who, despite all the pressure and everything, is very proud of himself. Soros put him in on record, financed his run, does nothing. In fact, they just intensify it to the point the governors had to put the state police in to Austin just to try to deal with it. And then the state police really don't know anything but writing tickets, so they just write tickets.
I mean, that's really the big issue here, is that criminals now they've never been more emboldened than they are right now. And it is not the result of a single decision or a single act that's been made. It is the result of years of weak on, soft on crime policies pushed by Democrats to help degrade society. We saw this again I have an interview later today with Amaranth, who one of the suspects has been caught. It sounds like the other two are close to getting caught. But you didn't have, organized criminals busting into people's houses and anywhere near the levels we did now. Now, it's a crime that has happened, of course, but it's so wild. Protect yourself. I don't know. We'll never know what happened in those moments. But one thing I can always try to tell people is your stuff is not worth it. Your ego is not worth it. If somebody's breaking into your car, just call the cops. It's just not worth it. I'm not saying that he confronted him. Maybe he was just getting out of his car and the guy, came up to him right away. That's entirely possible. I assume he was carrying to protect himself. If he wasn't, he should be. You should be. You should have cameras in your home. There's like Waze cameras now that you can buy them for like $30. I have like 40 of them in my house. Basically every angle inside and outside covered. And I've built it up over time. I didn't buy it all at once. Bought 4, then another 4, then another 4. Now I've got, every angle up and down my road, up and down my street covered. So that way, if something does happen, at least there'll be some evidence of it. Jamie was, by all measures, a great man, a great asset to independent news media. And whether or not this was a hit or part of something bigger, I don't really want to kind of dishonor him by going too far down that road. It sucks that we've lost him. My heart goes out to his family and to the InfoWars team.